Scientists say they have found the first direct evidence of a genetic link to some cases of ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Researchers from Cardiff University, writing in The Lancet, say the disorder is not the result of bad parenting. Our medical correspondent Fergus Walsh has more details.
ADHD is thought to affect around 1 in 50 children in the UK and can make them restless, impulsive and difficult to control. Researchers in Cardiff analysed blood samples from children with ADHD, comparing their DNA with others without the condition. They found about 15%, or 1 in 7, of the ADHD children had a genetic variant where certain segments of DNA were missing or duplicated. About 7%, or 1 in 14, of the control group children without ADHD also had the same genetic pattern. These DNA variants resembled those found in brain disorders like autism and schizophrenia.
These findings give a very clear steer that it's a neurodevelopmental disorder like autism and should be considered in that grouping. And the really exciting thing about genetics is it gives you a window into the biology of the brain. And so the hope is that this will start off a whole load of other scientific work and pave the way for new and effective treatments in the future.
Matthew was diagnosed with ADHD when he was 4. Now 13, his condition is under control, in part with medication. His mother says the research findings are encouraging.
I think the report that's come out is absolutely brilliant, because I'm hoping that people will now start to realise, you know, they're not bad parents out there, they're not evil, naughty children. There is a medical reason for this.
2 years ago, doctors were urged not to routinely prescribe the drug Ritalin for children with ADHD and to concentrate on psychological support in the home and classroom.
The danger of this research coming out saying, oh, it's strongly genetic, which I have some doubts about, the danger of it is that it will end up with people thinking, OK, then we need to treat them with Ritalin.
What have we got tomorrow? What week are we on?
Today's research suggests a genetic component to ADHD, but only in a small proportion of cases. And the authors freely admit environmental factors are also important. Fergus Walsh, BBC News.
Let me introduce Jan Greenman and her son Luke, who has ADHD and Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism. And Jan, you've written about this condition. We were having
just making us laugh.
And you were just making us laugh before you came in, because you were saying your mum has met various famous people today.
Oh yeah, she's overjoyed she met Quentin Letts today. It's like a little hero.
Endorsed my book, which is called Life at the Edge and Beyond. It's all
tell
about Luke.
Right, and living through ADHD with Luke, is it?
Yeah, well, Luke is autistic and he has ADHD, and I say that Luke is a nightmare on 2 legs. He's got the emotions of a toddler, the attention span of a flea, the body of an 18-year-old and the intellect of a 20-year-old.
Body of a very attractive
smart.
18-year-old, let's get that.
It's a really hard
when you
thing
hear
to
that description of yourself by your mum, do you accept it? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a simple fact. I mean, particularly in younger life, I was a nightmare and still have little attention span, but had no attention span. And I mean, the new research is good because it finally, you know, proves the point that there is the condition and, you know, puts doubters to rest. And I mean, from what they're saying on the sense of, you know, that it's bad parenting, there it is to an extent, because when I was younger and we didn't know how to cope with it, I was a nightmare. Well, as nowadays that I've learned how to cope with it and how to function and give some sort of attention, that, you know, you can get by.
OK, you've left school, I know, and you're currently not working. Are you hoping that you will be able to find a job that you can cope with?
Yes, if anyone's employing, give me a shout.
What sort of things do you think you would be up for and able to cope with?
Well, one of the things I have looked for is sales, like, you know, car sales in particular, because I'm very interested in cars and stuff. Like we talked to Dick Lovett, who's a big car trader in our area and whatnot, but nothing came of it, and other bits and bobs. At the moment, just anything just to tide me over, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just, do you, I mean, if you recognise it in yourself, what happens? You're kind of suddenly doing one thing and your mind goes off elsewhere, because we all do that to some extent.
Oh, I know, but with me, it's genuinely, like, when I was younger in school, if you're in a classroom with 30 people, and being autistic, I was very unsociable anyway, and there's 30 people that you don't like and don't get on with, they're telling you something you have no interest in, so you're going to sit there and fiddle with a pencil for 3 hours rather than listen. And that still goes nowadays. If I'm having a conversation with someone, if there's background noise, just even if a telly's on in the background, or you know, someone's doing anything, like, I very much struggle to have a conversation with someone in public, because there's so much going on. I cannot concentrate on what they're saying, even if it's very interesting.
Yes, I mean, I've got small children. Why is he different, do you think, from other small children? Because, mine are not brilliant always at concentrating either.
It's really hard to explain the condition to somebody who doesn't live with it, but it's a 24/7 thing.
Right.
He doesn't sleep. Even if he did sleep, his body would be twitching and moving. It's a very physical thing as well.
Yeah.
In the book, I've given an example of Luke's handwriting when he's trying to write without being on Ritalin, and he was on Ritalin for a short time, and his handwriting when he was actually drugged, and the level of difference in his handwriting is amazing because his brain could actually stop itself and focus on something. It's incredibly frustrating for Luke. It's very, it makes him violent, sometimes it makes him really angry because he loses everything. He can't remember what he did 2 minutes ago. His short-term memory is absolutely defunct sometimes, Luke, isn't it? I don't know another way to say it.
As Jan said, my sleeping habits are weird. Like, my friends have videoed me when I've been asleep or whatnot, and I do flips in my sleep and just sit there going, brrr, and
gosh,
and
it's good.
Will you ever get a night's sleep where you go to bed at 11 o'clock at night and wake up at 7 in the morning?
No, none of us in our house do.
I have to have had a bit of alcohol to do that.
Luke self-medicates with alcohol to do that, and the night before last, he fell down the stairs about what time in the morning?
I'm not a drunk.
No, he got out of bed and he just had to he has to move. I mean, so he fell down the stairs.
Very good friends of ours, their son, he's got a terrible stammer, and he self-medicates with alcohol because he finds if he's drunk, he's more relaxed.
Your confidence is up and you're not so what's going on in the world. It's a relaxant,
Okay, so what the developments today that this may be there may be some genetic link. How would that have helped you, and does that help you at this stage?
It makes a vast difference in some ways because I've had a huge email conversation with Peter Hitchens of the Daily Mail, who says that ADHD is not a genuine condition, and that it's something that people make up either to claim disability allowance or to excuse their child's naughty behaviour. And having a child like Luke, especially, he was expelled from school, from mainstream school, people can't cope with him. And that puts a stigma on you as a family. The implication is that you're doing something wrong. But actually, I'm a 24/7 parent. I don't sleep if Luke doesn't sleep because I have to make sure that the rest of the house is safe. So I'm working harder than anybody else in my parenting, often on next to no sleep, got wrinkles across my forehead. I've earned every one thanks to him. So it's quite hurtful and difficult to cope with the level of criticism.
So presumably this doesn't make any difference in terms of it's still, you're still going to have Asperger's, you're still going to have ADHD. But maybe it will make a difference in the way people understand the condition?
I think understanding is the key, don't you, Luke?
Exactly, and for me it's very hurtful because I know I'm intelligent enough to recognise that I have differences and that I can be irrational, erratic or badly behaved or whatever. And when people criticise my mum saying it's bad parenting, when I can tell you for a fact she is not, she is the best parent on the planet and has given me, more love and support than you could. Oh, sweetie. So it's just horrible when you read these emails from Peter Hitchens and or just hear it on the news where people criticise the parenting, which between us we have done our very best and have come out of it at the other end quite positively, which is just what needs to be done on all areas.
Do you know, it's been absolutely brilliant to meet you both. Thank you.
Yeah, it's
very nice to speak to you.
Thank you.
And Luke, 18, good looking, available for work.
Looking
there we are.
for a job.
I think going towards dating agencies is probably overstepping our brief just a little bit. Guys, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Very good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Let's go back to some other of our news here today. And lawyers in India say